So welcome and thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm seeing people trickle in to the webinar, so we can go ahead and get started now. So again, thank you for joining us this evening to learn more about the Post-Bacc Pre-Med program and the Master of Medical Science programs here at UVM. We have quite a lot of information to get through this evening, so we'll go ahead and get started so that we can leave plenty of time for questions at the end to answer some of the questions that you came to the session with. So here's a brief agenda of what we'll get through this evening. I'll start by introducing myself as well as my colleagues that I have here with us tonight, and then we'll move on to highlighting some of the key features of both the programs. So we have the Post-Bacc Pre-Med and then both the online and on-campus programs for the Master of Medical Science. And hopefully some of the information we share will help you decide which program might be the best fit for you if you were still in the process of deciding which one aligns better with your career goals. So then we'll talk about the benefits of both of the programs, and this will include the benefits of the programs themselves, but also the benefits of UVM and being in Burlington, Vermont as well, and being close to the Lerner College of Medicine. And then we'll highlight some of the opportunities of both of our programs and the opportunities you have access to help build your candidacy for med school or health professional schools. And we'll end by taking a deeper dive into both of the curriculums and then sharing some upcoming application deadlines. So I'm Ruth Hackett. I'm a program manager with the Professional and Continuing Education Department at UVM, but I help support both programs, so both Post-Bacc Pre-Med and the Master of Medical Science programs. And I am joined by my colleague, Maggie Lambert, the director of the Post-Bacc Pre-Med program. You want to say, wave quickly, Maggie? You'll be
Hi,
hearing
folks. Thanks for joining us tonight. We know you have a lot of options in your educational journey, and thanks for considering us.
Thank you. And we'll be hearing more from Maggie shortly. And we also have Sarah Ringler with us. Sorry, making sure I keep up with the slides. We have Sarah Ringler with us, the director of UVM Pre-Health Advising or Health Professions Advising.
Hi, everyone. Again, thanks for joining. Excited to share more with you. And yeah, we know you're all busy, so thanks for spending it with us tonight.
Thank you. And we also have our Post-Bacc Pre-Med Student Advisor, Kristen Kilbashian, with us. Kristen works very closely with the Post-Bacc Pre-Med students. And Kristen will be in the chat along with our program coordinator, Hillary Ross, answering questions. And so we are very excited to also be joined by two current students. We have Zach Martin, a current student in the Post-Bacc Pre-Med program, waving right now. And then we have Jenna Borobinsky from the online Master of Medical Science program with us. So we will be hearing more from both students shortly. And again, we will leave plenty of time for questions at the end of the session, but you can feel free to pop the questions that you have in the Q&A portion of the webinar, and Kristen and Hillary will try to answer questions that they can get to or that can easily be answered via chat, but anything that we can elaborate on or questions that we'll circle back to, we'll get to at the end of the presentation. So some of you might have joined this evening knowing exactly what program you're interested in, which is great, whether it be the Post-Bacc program or the Master of Medical Science program. But some of you might not be sure yet and might still be deciding between which program is right for you. Or you might be interested in both, and that's perfectly okay also. But we hope that you'll leave tonight a little bit more well-informed of what program might be the best fit for you. So starting with Post-Bacc. Maggie, what are some of the key characteristics of the Post-Bacc program that make it a little bit different than the Master of Medical Science program?
The Post-Bacc program is designed for those of you who do not have prerequisites completed for health professional school. So if you've never taken those science courses, then you would come into our program and you would complete those courses with us. Generally, our candidates have a strong undergraduate record, and we offer a customized curriculum with 3 entry points to the program to suit your individual needs, which is unique to our program.
Thank you. And Sarah, on the flip side of that, what makes a student a good fit for the MMS program?
Yeah, so students entering the MMS program, you'll have all of your prerequisites. And so it's really to give you some more exposure to the in-depth sciences. Students typically have a solid undergraduate record, but we are a special master's program. So a lot of students enter our program to demonstrate that they can handle the rigors and prepare themselves confidently for health professional degrees.
Great, thank you. And we'll share more on each of the program curriculums as we move throughout the slides. So although Sarah and Maggie just highlighted some of the differences of the programs, both of the programs do have access to a lot of the same and similar resources as well as opportunities as a student in both. So Sarah, could you speak to a little bit more about some of the unique benefits that students will get in both of the programs?
Yeah, so one, I'm a little biased. So I grew up in Vermont. I did my undergrad and my grad degree at UVM, and here I am working at UVM. So, but there's a reason why I've stayed and why I love it. And part of it is, and in conjunction with kind of the post-bac and the master's program, we are a small, you get a small sense of community, but it's large enough where there's always things going on. So there's a lot of collaboration. You are within walking distance. You can walk everywhere on campus in probably the matter of 25 minutes. So it's small, close community. We are a top research university, so there's ways to get involved. It's amazing to see all the folks who are involved in research and patient care. There's also a lot of integration with the medical students. And so I think that's pretty unique to UVM. You'll be able to be in grand rounds with medical students. You have access to similar things. And so it really allows you to kind of get a glimpse into that life and to make some really great connections. All of our faculty, many of our faculty for both MMS and Post-Bacc are faculty that teach also in the College of Medicine. So there's that integration there. And both programs have linkage agreements, which we can speak to later, but yeah, a lot of great things.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Now, in terms of just program specific benefits, Maggie, do you want to talk a little bit more about program benefits that both students in the MMS and Post-Bacc programs have access to?
Sure. You know, we work pretty collaboratively between the Post-Bacc program and the MMS program. We meet weekly, if not more, to talk about some of our program enhancements, which I'm really proud of. I think that collaboration makes some of these co-curricular opportunities even stronger. We have personalized academic support. Kristen Kilbashian is our pre-health advisor, and Sarah Ringler in the College of Medicine. We have peer mentors in both programs. Virtual learning community is a space where you can virtually connect with your peers and where we push out resources out to you separately. We both offer a committee letter process for our students. It's a tailored letter of recommendation through a committee process. A lot of post-bac programs nationally, some of them have stopped offering committee letter process. We still offer that because we feel like it enhances the opportunity for our new traditional or career changer students, and enables them to be able to tell their story more comprehensively. The Post-Bacc program has various tracks for healthcare specializations. You can come in and enter any of those tracks for pre-DPT or DO or NP. We also have tracks for direct entry nursing. So we have several pathways that you can enter. You can either come in as pre-med and then change your mind, or continue on. And we'll get into those tracks later. We offer a multitude of co-curricular learning resources and opportunities that we collaborate on: live sessions, sim lab sessions, tours of clinics in the area, and so on and so forth. Both programs also offer discounted MCAT preparation, and I'll let Sarah speak specifically to collaborations with Jack Weston and other MCAT preparation for the MMS as well.
Yes. Do you want me to speak to that now, or? Sorry.
Yeah,
sure.
So again, with MCAT prep, so we are piloting a new kind of agreement with Jack Weston. We have a Kaplan opportunity for students, but this is very new with Jack Weston, and I've heard feedback that it's going well. And we can talk more about how with both the Post-Bacc and the MMS program, you'll get a lot of content prep for your MCAT built in within the curriculum.
Great, thank you. And both Sarah and Maggie touched on this a little bit already, but both programs offer significant opportunity to build your candidacy for medical school. And so Maggie, could you talk a little bit more about some of the opportunities that students will have access to that help build their candidacy?
Yeah, we have a lot of interdisciplinary opportunities that we try to highlight for you and send out in our communications. The Larner College of Medicine offers a grand rounds to the entire healthcare community. Folks attend in person and virtually. Those grand rounds can be focused on anything from integrative health to family medicine, pediatric medicine, surgical, OB-GYN, neuroscience. It's a wonderful way to connect with the rest of the community, and they're held in the College of Medicine. We have a multitude of seminars from our various disciplines and units here at UVM: integrative pain management, primary care, microbiology, clinical translational science. And we try to push these all out to you, these opportunities out to you in these in regular communications in our hub.
Thanks. And Sarah, do you want to talk about some of the events and opportunities that students will have access to as well?
Sure. So there are a plethora of events that students can engage in. So we work closely with AHEC, which is Area Health Education Center, and it is a statewide network of community and academic partners that work together to improve the health of Vermonters. And they offer a wide range of clinics for us: suture clinics, vital sign clinics, injection clinics, CPR. There's panels, there's a networking day. So a really great way to see what's happening in Vermont and where students can kind of contribute to that healthcare in Vermont. We also do a lot of live sessions, so workshops. I work very closely with Kristen on personal statement workshops, and we do MCAT prep, like we talked about earlier. We bring panels together of students and people in the healthcare professions. We talk about how to prepare for medical school, creating your school list, all of those things, along with other health professional fields. We will offer some MD and DO admission panels. So we just recently had Learner come and talk to students, and it's pretty transparent. I think that's the nice thing about some of these panels is they're speaking to you, they're speaking to our students. We had UNE also come recently to do a DO panel. We have an amazing simulation lab that we have access to. And so once a semester, we schedule something for students to attend the simulation lab. And recently we just were able to tour. We have a comprehensive pain management clinic, which was phenomenal. I was so excited to see it and learn more about it. And we're the only one in the country that offers these integrative services to Medicaid populations. So it's pretty neat to see. So you will not be bored. There is a lot of opportunities to get engaged.
Thank you. And now we are excited to be joined by Zach Martin, a current student in the Post-Bacc program, and he's currently finishing up his time in the program and preparing for his next chapter. Zach, could you share a little bit about your experience in the Post-Bacc program and maybe what you enjoyed most about it?
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. I'm Zach. There's a couple different aspects that I want to touch on. I think the first one was just support. I felt very supported from the time that I applied to the program all the way through to the point that I'm now finishing it. I went through, made the move to Vermont, and that was a challenging thing, but I made some really close friends in my classes and was able to get involved in the community as well. And then also, there was a point where I had gotten sick and was really supported by the Student Accessibility Services office. And then also Kristen, who was my advisor, really helped take care of everything and make the experience into something that was incredible when it could have been really terrible. And that is something that has meant the world to me. So I do want to mention that first off. I think the level of support is kind of unrivaled here. And then the second, when I was initially looking towards programs, knowing that UVM was affiliated with a level 1 trauma center, and myself having always had an interest in emergency medicine, I figured it would probably be a good fit. And through those opportunities that got pushed out, I actually ended up employed in the emergency department at UVM. And then now I'm working as a member of the research team, put together a study and recently got it funded. But I'm also doing some other stuff involved with emergency medicine. So that overlap really led to me being able to pursue exactly what I wanted to pursue within the parameters of the program, and it just doesn't get any better than that. So I'll leave it at that. Anybody has questions in the Q&A session, please reach out.
Yes, thank you. That's great to hear. And I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you in the Q&A portion as well. So an additional benefit of the program is really the ability to be flexible with the courses that you take in specifically the Post-Bacc program for this slide and what you are choosing to do with your health profession career. So while about 80% of our students do matriculate into medical school or on a medical school track, you do have the ability to be flexible with your courses to align with other health professional goals. So you can be on different tracks for physician assistants, nurse practitioner, physical therapy, vet schools, dental, and other specializations as well. So you can be really flexible and work with your student advisor, Kristen or Sarah, depending on what program you're interested in, to really align with your goals and set you up for success for where you want to be when you complete the program. So speaking of curriculum, this is just an overview of the typical curriculum of a post-bacc student. Maggie, do you want to elaborate a little bit more on the post-bacc curriculum and what courses students should expect to take?
Sure. For pre-allopathic osteopathic programs, you'll want to take 2 semesters of general chemistry with labs, 2 semesters of organic chemistry with labs, 2 semesters of general bio with labs, and 2 semesters of physics with labs. That's the core curriculum, and then highly recommended, and some schools prefer and require that you have microbiology with a lab, and biochemistry is not required, but would probably support you in your MCAT prep as well. Recommended, we have genetics, cell biology, medical ethics, nutrition, biomedical stats. We have some upper level science courses, some courses in the MMS curriculum that you could certainly take as electives, and in our public health curriculum as well. For dental, it's a little bit different, but similar and listed here on the slide. Highly recommended microbiome, biochem, cell biology, and nutrition as well.
Thanks, Maggie. And a very popular question that we get from those considering both post-bacc and Master of Medical Science is, where do our students land after the program? So while this is just a sampling of some of the schools that our graduates matriculate into, Maggie, do you want to speak a little bit to where our students end up in the post-bacc program once they graduate?
I mean, they really go all over the place. A lot of our students do, I'd say about, I think it's 53% that go through our CLP process and are eligible for the linkage and want to go to LCOM, end up going to Larner College of Medicine, but they really do go all over the place. And a lot of students who are accepted into Larner end up going elsewhere as well. We have a handful of students that go to DO schools, dental, chiropractic, PA programs. We have so many tracks and opportunities for students, and sometimes students come in on the med track, like I said previously, and decide they want to do something else like PA or NP, and we love it when that happens. We love to have those opportunities for students to have the conversations about what's right for them.
Great. Thanks, Maggie. And lastly, before we transition to diving into the Master of Medical Science program specifically, these are some of the most popular questions in terms of logistics of the program that we get. So Maggie, could you run through some of these questions, starting with just the format of the post-bacc program?
Yeah, most of our core science classes, all of them are online. I mean, on campus, sorry. And some electives, some of the other courses that you can have an opportunity to take would be online. But most of the core sciences are all in person. So this is an on-campus program. The program takes about 12 to 24 months to complete. You have 1 year of federal financial aid available to you for the program. So most try to complete it in a year. How much will it cost me? That is a specialized question. UVM's in-state rate per credit is in and around, believe 670 and in and around 1,700 for out of state. But it really depends on how many courses you take per semester. There's a fee structure that starts to play into the cost. And so we really advise you to talk directly with Student Financial Services so you understand better what your options are. We also have a summer scholarship in the Post-Bacc program. So it's a buy one, get one free. Most of your lab courses will be 4 credits. So it's a really great way to knock out one of those lab courses for free if you register in the summer. And we also have Post-Bacc scholarships. So I'm going to advise you to ask Kristen if you're interested in those scholarships, and we will get information out to you. How can you connect with other students? We have a fall orientation. We have a fall meet and greet with the MMS program. We have other co-curricular activities on campus. We use the hub as well as a place where you can reach out to students. Is there anything I'm missing, team, in terms of chat? Are the research and volunteer shadowing and patient care opportunities? There are ample opportunities. We don't prescribe them for you, but as you work with Kristen to decide what it is you're interested in, there are multiple opportunities for research and volunteer. We have some of those listed on our site, and we definitely catalog those. Each time we watch students go through CLP, we catalog exactly what they're doing so that we can give you an idea of what you can do in the program. A lot of our students work as medical assistants or patient care attendants through the UVM MC network. I've not seen a student have a difficult time finding patient care or research opportunities should they desire to do so in our program.
Thank you. So now let's transition over to the Master of Medical Science program. Sarah, could you walk us through the sample curriculum we have for the MMS program?
Yes. So the MMS program is a 30 credit master's program. It can be done in full-time, which is over the course of 3 semesters. Students will either start in the summer or end in the summer. And we do have students that space it out part-time. The core courses are biochemistry 1 and 2, cell biology. We have a new selective, which is medical cell biology as well, human physiology and pharmacology. There's also integrated physiology, applied systems, pharmacology. You'll see where the courses are online. All of the core courses are online as well. And then we have anatomy courses. So the in-person anatomy is a human gross cadaver lab. So this is one of kind of the biggest, I think, for our in-person students, the course that they are all so excited to participate in. It's over the summer. It's an intense course. You're really living and breathing anatomy every single day for around 6 to 7 weeks. But it's an amazing opportunity to be involved in cadaver in dissection and to really work as a team through that process. The other option for remote students is a anatomy lab. So you're really doing the anatomy via radiology and looking at the radiology lens of that. The other requirement, there's a stats course, so statistics, and then we have a bunch of electives. I will point out that the medical master's capstone, it's not a requirement, but it's strongly encouraged, and a lot of our students really enjoy that class. It's a chance for you to attend some grand rounds and then to really dive a little bit deeper into your core content and present on 2 different disease states through different oral presentations. And it's a great way to learn about what your peers are interested in and to share a little bit about some of your interests as well. We have a human pregnancy class that's really popular, emergency medicine research, and so a lot of different ways to get involved. And I will also say that UVM has a very strong public health online master's degree, which a lot of our students take those courses as electives and find that it complements their curriculum pretty nicely.
Thanks, Sarah. And now, similarly to the Post-Bacc program, most of those who are considering either various programs, either Post-Bacc or MMS or other programs, are interested to know where students are ending up after they complete the program. So could you touch on where you're seeing a lot of your graduates ending up going or what they're doing after they graduate?
Yeah. So, our program, a lot of students that enter our program are really entering because they want to go into MD, DO. We get some students that want to go into PA school and dental. I will say around 27% of our students that matriculate are matriculating into DO schools, 59% are matriculating into DO or into MD schools, and then 14% are going elsewhere. So a lot of students end up applying to nursing schools, some go to dental schools, like I said, PhD tracks, some get involved in clinical research. And so again, there's a lot of advising support throughout the way. I think sometimes people's trajectories change or things your goals might change, and you will end up with a degree that is beneficial in some aspect of your future.
Great, thank you. Now we're fortunate to be joined by Jenna from the online Master of Medical Science program. Jenna, could you share a little bit more about why you initially chose the UVM MMS program and maybe what your experience as an online student has been?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. My name's Jenna. Thank you for the introduction, Ruth. I am currently taking the Master of Medical Science program remotely from San Francisco, California, which is quite far from Vermont. I decided to do this program because, I graduated from college. I went to school in upstate New York. I graduated in 2022, and I always knew I wanted to go to med school, but my undergraduate GPA from college just doesn't really match my academic abilities, and I really want to apply to I'm very interested in attending medical school, and I wanted to raise my GPA before I applied at medical school. I'm actually applying the 2025 cycle, so this spring. And there's just a variety of challenges in college that caused my GPA to be that way. And so I was looking for programs to raise my GPA, but at the same time, I have always wanted to prioritize working in the community that I live in. And that's why I'm interested in getting actually an MD and PhD degree when I apply. So Vermont's program really, really attracted me due to the fact that it could be done remotely. So right now I work as a clinical research coordinator full-time, and I'm in the program full-time. And I also, prior to this, did AmeriCorps, doing nonprofit work and public health work in underserved areas around the Bay Area. And this program has been awesome because I'm able to both improve my GPA, overall average GPA between undergrad and grad school, and get ready for applying to medical school this spring, as well as still gain really essential community experience that I'm really passionate about and wouldn't want to sacrifice. And despite being remote, this is a common question, how being a remote student differs from being in person. I'd say that my experience has been, quite similar to people in person, minus the fact that I'm not attending class in person, because some classes, in-person students are also in, and I've also been able to get very involved at UVM despite being remote. So I'm on the Larner College of Medicine graduate school council, and through that I'm able to have a voice for all remote students as the only remote representative on it, as well as all the in-person students. I'm able to understand their experience more to try and leverage both of our experiences, because in-person students aren't aware of our experiences and remote experiences aren't aware of in-person experiences. But yeah, I've had a great experience thus far. And, a year ago, I was like a lot of y'all, and I had no idea what type of program I was looking for. I didn't know, what my chances were of getting into programs. And yeah, I overall just really recommend the University of Vermont's Master of Medical Science program. And earlier, as Zach was mentioning, the support has just been amazing. And Sarah, I meet with her a lot, and we talk about, she's assisted me so much with my application, and all the seminars have been so beneficial. For instance, I went to the Larner College of Medicine Admissions Council seminar a few weeks ago, and I was able to understand more what the Larner College of Medicine is looking for. And I really learned how, the Larner College of Medicine is very also passionate about community healthcare in general, and that really matches my interests and why I want to attend Larner College of Medicine as well, and the linkage program's amazing. And while I haven't applied yet, I think that was definitely a very attractive factor to this program. But yeah, overall, yeah, please feel free to answer or ask any questions in the chat. I'd love to answer any of them further, or feel free to contact me also after this call. I'd love to answer any questions or help in any way. I know it's a very stressful process, but I'm a year later now. I'm so grateful that I chose to do this program.
Great, thank you. It's always great to hear when the student support is a highlight from both groups of students. And now we'll highlight the same 5 questions we had for the Post-Bacc program. But Sarah, do you want to speak to some of the kind of key questions that students or prospective students typically ask when considering programs?
Yeah, so some of them are very similar to what Maggie shared. But so like we shared, we have an online cohort and then an on-campus cohort. Students that are on campus can also take classes remotely. So we do have some students that are taking classes in a hybrid fashion. The program can be done in 3 semesters, or you can space it out. I will be a little transparent in the fact that if you're doing the master's program as an academic enhancer and you can afford to take the program full time, that breadth is going to be really beneficial when you're applying to medical school. They're going to see that you can handle the academic rigor in many courses as opposed to just 1 or 2. But these are the conversations that I always have with students who are kind of thinking about our program or deciding on how to go full-time or part-time. So again, after this call, I'm happy to connect with anybody. How much will it cost? I'm going to defer you to the tuition site, again, out of state, and we have an in-state rate as well. Connecting with other students. So similar to Post-Bacc, there's a lot of ways to engage with students. We have a Bright Space hub where we'll post announcements and share information. I have a lot of modules on the application process and just different resources on there. We do in-person events and workshops, and we also do those hybrids. So there's remote options as well. We have Microsoft Teams that we've set up for courses so students can connect. We do a group me for the online and the in-person students, and I know that there's a lot of chatter on that. And so there's a lot of ways to connect. And the other thing I will share is UVM is very, we listen to the students. And so that's one thing, you know, that I think is so important to the community at UVM is that if students bring up something that they're interested in or they're not seeing or they want to do or they're missing, we really take that into consideration because again, we're here to support you and we want you to all be successful. Research, volunteer shadowing, yes, a lot of opportunities. Again, this is really student driven, so we'll sometimes make connections, but I think the reaching out on your own is kind of what sets you aside from other folks, you know, the cold calling, the making those connections, the networking. And so there's a lot of ways to get involved. There's some departments, I know radiology, that they offer full day shadowing sessions. We also have a very vibrant community health center that a lot of our students work at. And so there's ways to gain that experience.
Thanks, Sarah. And now for the application process. So while both programs do have similar application processes, they are slightly different. So starting with Post-Bacc, Maggie, do you want to walk us through the application process for the Post-Bacc program?
Yeah, sure. We have an online application. We have our own application for the Post-Bacc program, as well as an application that's accessible through Post-Bacc if you're applying to a variety of programs. We require a personal statement, 2 letters of recommendation. We like these to be professional letters or letters from former faculty or current faculty that you've taken courses with. Unofficial transcripts. We don't require that the transcripts are official. And the application fee for our own application is $50, I believe. And that for Post-Bacc is in and around 170 or something like that. But you're able to apply to multiple schools through that system.
Thanks. And Sarah, do you want to walk us through the MMS application requirements?
Sure. So with the Master's of Medical Science, you're applying through the graduate college. So we kind of mirror the graduate policy. So there is a graduate college application. I believe it's $65 to apply. Some students qualify for fee waivers, and all that information is on the graduate college website. We ask for a statement of purpose. It's really helpful in this statement to not only tell us kind of why you're interested in the program and how this aligns with your goals, but to provide us with context. So if you have lived experiences or you have inconsistencies in your undergraduate GPA, it's really helpful for you to share that with us, and so that we can really understand your application holistically. We ask for 3 letters of recommendation. It's also helpful if 2 of them are academic letters, especially if you have maybe a lower undergraduate GPA. We ask for a CV or resume, college transcripts. These can also be unofficial. When you matriculate, then we will reach out and get your official transcripts. But for the application, you can just attach unofficial transcripts. And then, like I said, there's the application fee.
Thank you. So now we've reached our final slide, and the next step is who is ready to apply or register. So this is a great time of year, or the time of year, to be thinking about summer or fall registration. And we do have the upcoming summer deadlines quickly approaching for the Master of Medical Science. Post-Bacc is slightly rolling as well, so you have some flexibility there. But summer is a great time to start either program. As Maggie mentioned, you can take advantage of the summer scholarship for the Post-Bacc program. But then just in general, it's also getting some courses out of the way before the spring semester starts. So it feels a little bit like you're getting a head start on the program, which is never a bad thing. But these are just some upcoming deadlines to keep in mind. But if you have any questions about them, feel free to reach out. And I'm seeing some questions come through the Q&A, so I think we can hop on over to the questions that are coming through. I will go ahead and stop sharing so that we can get to the questions.
So Ruth, we've been trying to answer them as we go, but Sarah, there are a handful in here that are specific to you. Are you able to read them, or do you want me to rattle off?
I can read some, and I'm sure if one person's thinking it, there's several. So a question that I see coming up is the MMS strict about the undergraduate GPA? And so, you know, we are an academic enhancing program, and so we don't have a specific undergraduate GPA cutoff that we need to see. That being said, things that we look for are, will you be able to handle the rigor of these master's courses? So is there some upward trend? Have you demonstrated some proficiency in your prerequisites? If you've retaken classes, have you done much better? For some students that maybe have a little bit rocky grades in their prerequisites, have you taken more science courses that maybe are upper level, that can kind of show us that you've diversified and that you're coming in with some foundational knowledge? So again, we look at the application process holistically, but at the end of the day, we do want to make sure that you're prepared to handle the rigor of these courses. Sorry, there's a lot. If anyone can pull
Yes, there
some of
is.
the MMS ones, I'm happy to answer them.
This one, I think it's MMS specific, or what are the career options for the MMS program?
Yeah, so I mean, our program is really geared to be like a stepping stone to your next thing, right? So whether that's going into medical school, DO school, dental school, PA school, we do have many students though that decide that they come in saying, I want to go to medical school, and then they realize there's no way I want to do this, and that's okay too, right? So we meet you where you're at. And successful students out of our program that did not go into those health tracks. We have some students that are doing research, really engaged in research, engaged in community work. We have some students that decide to get their MPH and go that route. We have students that have entered, so UVM has a Doctor of Nursing program, a DNP program, and we've had a couple of students really go that route and enter that field. So there are options. You're not stuck if you enter our program and decide, I'm not sure I want to move forward with my an original goal. But a lot of students are entering because they want to advance into some health career.
And this might be another MMS question as well, but what are some of the academic disadvantages of an online student when comparing it to an in-person student applying to med school? I don't know if Sarah or Jenna want to tackle that one.
I can start and then I'll pass it over to Jenna. I will share a little bit as on your transcript, it's not going to say you're online versus in person. So they're not going to see that the difference in the courses. We do a committee letter process and we will provide that context. So we'll share if you were a remote student versus an in-person student. And again, I think that's because there's strengths in both. It takes a lot of self-discipline and time management to do this program remotely. And that is a strength that you develop and that you that you really hone in on, and that's going to prepare you for many things in your future. And so it's nice for us to be able to highlight that. I'll turn it over. I don't know if you have anything else, Jenna, to add to that.
Yeah, like Sarah was mentioning, being a remote student, I have to really be on top of all of my classwork and really manage my schedule. As I said, I work as a clinical research coordinator, and I'm also studying for the MCAT right now, so I'm quite busy. Also, being in this program full time, I decided to do it full time, not part time, and that requires a lot of organization. But I would say is that some of the classes really differ depending on whether the professor wants to teach it asynchronously or synchronously, and a lot of the times they provide both options, which is really nice because, being from California, I'm in a completely different time zone, and that sometimes really affects my class schedule. But, all the synchronous classes I've been in have been amazing because I'm able to form relationships with my professors more, get to know them more, and that has allowed me to get letters of recs from professors from being in courses. Just because I'm remote, I'm still forming these connections with professors as well as other people in my class. Which is amazing. I'd say what I'm missing from being an in-person student would be, specific UVM research experiences at, Larner College of Medicine that I couldn't do remotely, or community work in Vermont, or getting to know my classmates more and have more of a collaborative effort when doing group work. But as Sarah mentioned, we have a group me, and that's been a great way to connect with other remote students.
We can pivot over to a question for Post-Bacc for Zach specifically. Could you share what a typical weekly schedule would look like for you as an in-person Post-Bacc student, managing courses along with volunteering or research and other obligations?
Yeah, so this is an odd semester. I'll walk you through this semester because it's a little bit odd for me. This one, I'm not a student in the traditional sense, I guess. I got bumped to do, I'm TAing 2 classes as well as acting as a chief in the emergency department. And those 2 classes are wildly different. One of them is the introduction into clinical research in emergency medicine, which is basically like, here's HIPAA, here's healthcare. You do some shadowing experiences in the ED with physicians, nurses, and techs, as well as attend some grand rounds that we had talked about, which are awesome, by the way. That's an awesome opportunity that UVM has. That's quite unique in the way that it's run. So just quick plug for that. But yeah, I would say, so that one, and then the second one is healthcare innovation, which is based on like the American healthcare system, the insurance system, how it came to be the way that it is, and how to create change in that system. And that's actually offered through the Honors College here at UVM. And it's the first semester it's ever offered. So I'm going to give you an example of what this looks like, but this is kind of the tail end of my development in the program. So Monday, I'm a night person, so I wake up sometime in between 10 a.m. and noon. And then I'm up doing various tasks, including grading, household work, all that stuff. And then I'm a competitive dragon boat racer, so I basically am up doing work around the house from 12 to, let's say, 4:30, and then I'm at practice for another hour and a half. I get home, I eat some food, and then end up doing a little bit more generally grading or looking into the readings for the next day, or Thursday that week. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are both pretty long days. I have Tuesday mornings to myself, but then I have 2 classes that occur simultaneously. So I have to split my time kind of in between those, depending on what the needs are. And that lasts it's like an hour and 25 minutes, I think. And then that's followed by a research shift in the emergency department. with a coordinator. It's supervised. You work on consenting patients, all that stuff. Wednesdays, it's basically my meeting days. I work from home generally that day. So if I'm meeting with the other professors that I'm working with, then I will talk with them those days, or I might go to campus and do some extra work, stuff like that. But Wednesday's kind of a flux day. Thursday starts again somewhere between 10 and noon. I've got the morning to do my home stuff, and then I've got office hours for an hour, and then I've got a meeting to go over one of the classes, and then I've got the class, and then I've got the ED research shift. So it ends up being about a 10 to 12 hour day by the time that it's said and done. So my Tuesdays and Thursdays are a little bit longer, and then Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are pretty much just my own schedule. I mean, I have a lot to do, but there's a lot of variance this semester, and I've had to create my own deadlines for tasks and gain this entirely different skill set that I didn't necessarily have as a student when I was sitting, in chem, trying to figure out how to get things done in time. Right now, it's when are they due? So yeah, it's weekends. I volunteer for Special Olympics Saturday mornings, and that's usually my morning. And then in the afternoons, I generally have, I try to make time to meet with friends, go out and do some type of dinner. And then Sundays, it really just depends. I work out with the Dragon Boat team generally Sunday mornings, and then Sunday afternoons and evenings are getting ready for the next week, meal prepping, household stuff. So life is doable. It's pretty busy. I would say Tuesdays and Thursdays are definitely my busy days, but it's a sustainable amount of work to be able to do that and balance life. I don't know if that answers the question completely, but
I think that's great. Certainly a busy schedule. Trying to work through all of these
I just want to
questions.
say that the introductory emergency medicine course will be offered online this summer. So if any MMS students would like to, MMS or post-bac students would like to take advantage of that virtually, that's an opportunity this year.
it is just a quick plug for that. It's a really, really cool class. Even having worked in the medical field and been in the hospital, I still came away from that class being very grateful that I took it. And it laid the foundation for my interest in research, which I never thought I would have ever.
That's
I thought
awesome.
I was gonna, I wanted to be in it and with the patients, and then I ended up doing research and just loving it. So
I'm seeing some questions on linkages coming through. I think Sarah might have just answered one in the chat. But for MMS specifically, could you maybe elaborate, Sarah, on what the agreement is with the MMS program, or the linkage agreement with MMS and the Lerner College of Medicine?
Sure. So we have a agreement with the Lerner College of Medicine. I just answered a question. So it's the same linkage if you're in person or remote. And it is a 3.5 GPA at the time of completing our program and a 509 on the MCAT at the time of applying. I will say, it is a linkage for a guaranteed interview. UVM looks really holistically at applications. So we have students that have been accepted without meeting that linkage, and we have students that have met the linkage that aren't accepted. And so again, it just shows that this is one piece of the spoke of the wheel, right? When you're going to apply, academics is important, but there's so many other components to a successful application. Mission alignment is huge too. And so for UVM, they're really looking at students that align with their mission. And so when you go to apply to medical schools, you are kind of that active agent for yourself. You want to apply to schools that align with your mission. And so that's something they also look at. We have a linkage agreement also with the University of New England DO School. And we've had many successful students matriculate this current cycle, which is great to see. And that is a little bit similar, except they're looking at your last 60 credit hours. It's for a guaranteed interview, and there's some nuances with that one. So I'm happy to chat with anyone. We're also in the process of maybe changing it a little bit. So more information on that to come, but they are a partner we work with, and we have a lot of students that have enjoyed the campus there.
This might be a quick one, but is there a word count for the personal statement when applying to the MMS?
That's a great question. Since it goes through the graduate application, I don't know the answer. type until it won't let you type anymore, I guess, but you want to be succinct with your response, right? So I wouldn't necessarily overthink the personal statement too much. I think we want to see who you are. We want to see context as to maybe lived experiences that might have impacted your undergraduate grades if you're coming in with some lower grades. And then just really see why you chose our program, why this aligns with your interests, and how this is going to help you get to where you want to go.
And a follow-up question on the application process, is there an interview component?
We don't have an interview, so that's not part of the process. It's really looking at your personal statement, your letters of recommendation. Those are really helpful, and your academics. While there is no formal interview, I'm always happy to meet with students. If you're kind of thinking, do you want to apply? Do you not want to apply? That's the nice thing about our program is we're relatively small. And so I am meeting with prospective students all the time. This is a big decision for you. And so we want to make sure that you're really well informed and that you have all the information you need to make this decision for yourself.
A lot of MMS questions, but when do you think students typically take the MCAT in the MMS program?
Yeah, so this is a great question. And I'm sure too, Post-Bacc this is probably applicable to Post-Bacc, but for MMS, you know, I will be honest, there's a lot of moving pieces in the program, especially if you're planning to apply when you finish our program, right? So if you're entering our program in the summer and you're finishing in the spring, there's a little bit flexibility because you're applying that cycle and you're not taking any more classes. Some students plan to take their MCAT early. So we have students that take it maybe in January. But again, some students are really needing the foundational sciences and kind of to build that up. So they are waiting a little bit until they've taken some of the master's courses. And the reality is that you can only do so much with your time. And it might be really challenging to do the program full-time, study adequately for the MCAT full-time. So it's really an individual case-by-case basis. We do have students that finish our program or are planning to finish in the summer and they take the MCAT in May. And then they get their score back and they apply and it all works out. And then there's students that retake it. So I would defer to the student, but I'm always, again, happy to have the conversations with any student around what makes sense and do kind of the pros and cons of when to take it. You want to be ready. Bottom line is with the MCAT, you want to feel ready and you want to be scoring ideally where you want to score before you say, I'm going to take it. So I work with a lot of students that move their date back, and that's okay.
I will encourage any of those attending, if you have any questions specifically for our two students joining us, please feel free to send them. It's a great opportunity to get some questions answered from current students. You touched on this a little bit, Sarah, but in terms of the statement of purpose, aside from the explanation of your academic record, what else do you see that people are typically, or those applying are typically discussing in their statement of purpose?
I mean, I think, you know, it's a little bit similar to medical school statement of purpose, but not as formal. So we really just want to know who you are. We want to get a good sense as to why this is the next step for you. A lot of times people talk about their experiences in healthcare or maybe some personal experiences they've had that have led them down this path. Why they chose the master's program, kind of what they're looking for, how it's a good fit. And then again, any context. So for students that maybe struggled in undergrad, how have you overcome that? How are you in a place now to handle the rigors of this program? Just curious for the MCAT question. So Jenna and Zach, have you tackled the MCAT? Can you share maybe, because I think Jenna, you're taking it, right?
I take the MCAT in 2 days.
Okay. How are you feeling?
I'm very stressed, but I'm excited to get it over with. Yeah, I take it on Friday, and I guess I was also regarding the question, I wasn't really sure when to take the MCAT with the program in my busy schedule. I started the MMS program last summer, so I'll be done in May. But what's really nice about the program is, in UVM in general, is that it's a semester program. So there's a whole month off during winter break, and there's also a week off for spring break. So there was, probably around 5 weeks in which I didn't have any classes to focus on studying. And yeah, I think that it is very attainable to study while being in the program.
And this is a follow-up question for Jenna, but do you have any tips to share for being a successful online student?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say in order to be successful, a lot of the times, it really depends on what class you're in, but a lot of the times you don't get reminders, as if you were attending class in person or you had your friends telling you, did you finish that essay due on Friday? So you really have to be on top of it and really check. So Brightspace is the online platform that UVM uses. So checking Brightspace often and updating your calendars frequently. I have multiple emails, so I really need to make sure that my calendar has everything from all of my emails present so I know I'm not missing anything. And also taking advantage of office hours to get to know your professors more and also understand material that you don't understand as well. I think that professors are great with accommodating online students. And yeah, I'd say really just it's a matter of being organized. As I'm very busy, but I think that just staying on top of things, and also I've found that having, phone numbers of people in the online program from different states we've never met before, but I now feel like we're friends and I have a connection to them and I'm able to ask homework questions or questions about things due, which has been very helpful.
Thanks. We had one question about scholarship eligibility, specifically for international students, and if international students are eligible for scholarships. For the Post-Bacc program, I believe they are. Kristen can correct me if I'm wrong, but they are eligible for the scholarships, I believe.
For our summer scholarship, absolutely.
Yeah.
And any scholarship that we might have available during the academic year, as long as it is not tied to FAFSA, since that is a federal program. Yes, absolutely.
And for MMS, we don't have a lot of scholarship opportunities. We do have a second semester scholarship, and that is available to any student. It's an application based. It's for one student. It covers the full second semester, and it's not connected to FAFSA.
I know we're quickly approaching our time here, but for an additional question for Sarah on a thesis option for the Master of Medical Science. Is there a thesis component? I know we touched on the capstone for the program.
It is not a thesis program. That being said, some students have gotten involved in individual research with faculty. It's not a thesis, but again, it's kind of your own unique maybe project. But we don't have a thesis option. We do have a comprehensive exam. So that is a paper that's required upon graduating. It's a 10-page paper. It's pass fail. And a lot of times students will use their capstone presentation on a disease state and put that into paper format with graphs and charts. And so it is a formal paper that you will submit.
Thank you. And I think one final question for the MMS program and dental school. So can you apply and complete the MMS program and then be accepted to dental school?
Yes, and we actually have an online student that just got accepted to dental school, which is very exciting. So yeah, we have definitely smaller numbers of students that apply to dental school in our program, but we're also just a small program to begin with. But yeah, we have had students successfully matriculate into into dental school after our program.
Okay. Well, I think we might have reached our time, but thank you everyone for all of the great questions, and thank you Jenna and Zach for both being here to help share the student perspective. I know when I was a student, that's always what I was interested in hearing about, the student experience in the program. And for those attending, thank you for joining us this evening. Wherever you're at in the process, if you're just considering programs, maybe you've submitted an application and are waiting to hear back, definitely still feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. The MMS email is mms@uvm.edu, or you can email learn@uvm.edu for any post-bac programs. But we look forward to working with you throughout your journey to health professional schools. So thank you very much and enjoy the evening.